Hi, I'm Rick Huber. I'm from Rupert, Idaho. I was born and raised there. Um, I'm a consumer advocate, which means that I'm a person that has lived experience with mental health issues. Um, my first diagnosis was paranoid schizophrenia, and in childhood, I really never heard much about mental illness, so it was kind of like a real scary uh, experience for me because I had no idea what was happening to me. Um, and from the very first experience with psychosis, um, I've been dealt with many times by police officers, which there again kind of adds to the scariness of it. I had two episodes in the early 80s, which I pretty much recovered from, and was able to go without medications for another 7 or 8 years and stayed employed and so forth. I did, however, lose the job from my first experience due to my illness. Because I was on medications and whatnot, I was not able to perform my job like I did before. And so I quickly became aware of the discrimination in employment for people with disabilities of any kind, and especially for folks with mental health issues. I did continue to work for another approximately 10 years, and in the early 90s had another round of psychotic episodes and did end up on disability. I became an advocate mainly because, fortunately, back in the early 90s, they were doing leadership trainings, which basically were provided to train people how to be an advocate, which did help me tremendously in the fact that it made me aware of different avenues to advocate in, such as the regional mental health boards. I've been doing advocacy work now for about 18 years, and I'm currently sitting on about 6 different boards of directors for varying advocacy groups, including the Federation of Families, Disability Rights Idaho. I also have been appointed by the governor to the State Planning Council on Mental Health and the State Independent Living Council, to name a few. To me, advocating with the legislators is a good thing, but more importantly, I think it also is a very good thing for yourself. And that's something that I've learned through my advocacy and my recovery is I have to become basically more selfish and many times learn to put myself ahead of other people's needs and whatnot and do what I know is good for me. And advocating is one of those things. Regardless of what the outcome is of my advocacy work, whether legislation or things go the way that I think they should, I know that I've at least put in the effort to bring the issues forward, let people know what's going on. And to me, one of the most rewarding things is not necessarily the visible things that you can see, but occasionally I'll have, especially other consumers, come up and say that they've heard me do different talks or whatnot and say that it's helped them in their recovery. And to me, that's far more rewarding than just about anything, that I know that I've helped somebody in some small way, because dealing with mental health issues a lot of times is a very lonely path, and knowing that you've impacted somebody's life and their road to recovery, to me, is probably the most important thing. And so, sometimes you got to do it for yourself, and if you're going to get into advocacy looking for great rewards and great outcomes and whatnot, you're going to become very frustrated. And I guess what I'm telling you, when you become an advocate, look to do it because you're doing a good job and you're helping other people, and don't focus on the outcomes, but that you're doing what you can. And I think that's all that I have. Thanks very much.